Hi, this is Peter Godinez, your ambassador with KADY TV, with another version of Meet the Candidate. And we have the privilege of having Bert Perello, who is running for the City of Oxnard City Council. So let's just start from the beginning. I know a bit about you, so I want to get right to the point and find out some of the great things about you. But Bert, where did this all begin? Tell us where you were born and where this all happened for you.
I was born in Santa Barbara, California in 1950. My family is in farming, lemons, and they had acquired some property in Oxnard in 52. They lived right off Highway 101 in downtown Santa Barbara. The state of California was going to widen the freeway, and they condemned where we lived, and we moved closer to the ranches that we had down here and acquired a house in 1959, lived in the just north of the El Rio area. As it turned out, the state of California changed their mind later, and they sold the condemned property to somebody else, and they built apartments on it. And I went to the local schools. I went to Mesa Union School. I went to Rio Mesa High School, the second graduating class. I went to a brand new high school, fantastic opportunity. Went to Ventura College for a couple of years and went to Cal Poly San Luis Obispo for a couple of years. I didn't graduate, but I learned some terrific things. I took farm management as a major. Worked on a family farm. Fathers and sons don't always get along on family farms, and it was pretty obvious that I was not going to tell my dad how to run a farm.
Smart man.
Yeah, but I was smart enough to know that it don't rock his boat too much. Very fortunate to have the family that I did. Got married late in life. I was 40, my wife was 39, never been married before.
Well, you're going to die telling her age, so I just kidding.
That's right. And it's a girl that I'd known in high school, but I never really knew her. Got to meet her, and I was very lucky to meet my wife.
Did you have to share the spotlight in the family? Were you an only child, or did you?
No, I had a sister. I have a sister a year younger.
So you learned how to deal with empowered women at an early age. Then.
I learned real early that you want to eat, you got to work. Everybody worked. Grandparents, mom and dad, sister, brother, everybody worked. And they often say that, oh, you're a rich farmer. I didn't learn that. I never saw that. I mean, I saw that when you went to church, but I didn't see that growing up. We definitely had crews that picked the lemons, and we had crews that pruned the trees. Other than that, family did everything else.
So you know what it's like to get up early and put a full day's work in.
I know what it's like to work, yeah.
So the manual labor.
And the other part is, I learned from my dad that my dad's background, he had gone to bat for various people and various issues. It cost him big a couple of different times. He was a union organizer right after he got into the Merchant Marines, and he paid a big price, and he was blackballed from San Diego to San Francisco, and no work. And that's how he got involved in farming. His family his mother and dad had farms, and they just said, look, you got 2 kids here, and what are you going to do? We're going to expand and take a loan and get into the ranch. And then he went to bat for individuals. We grew for Sunkist in various packing houses, and one of the issues, Sunkist gave retirements if you stayed the full 30 years, and there was a field man, well-placed family, everything, but this man was the field man, and at 29 years, 6 months, they fired him. And my dad went to bat for him. They didn't pick our fruit because of that. You paid a price, and we watched it go on the ground.
So this is where all the
this is where you find out there's some fights worth fighting,
right?
But you can't be naive.
Pick and choose,
you can't be naive because there's going to be payback.
Talk about your mom. Was she opposite of your dad? Again, opposite the track, but
my mom was the best part of my dad. My mom busted her butt. She was much softer than my dad, but my mom wanted my dad to, eventually to retire.
Right. And
they'd been doing it for years and years and years, and so when they were doing it, they decided that they wanted to retire, and my dad did not want to totally sell everything off and get out. And he was in partnership with his parents and his brother and his sister-in-law.
Right.
And so they decided, my mom said, if you're going to do this, we're going to get into some kind of farming where there's a winter. In lemons, there's no time off. In the winter, you hang around. If you don't take care of the crop, you get a freeze, you lose a year's work. So they decided to look into something where there would be a downtime, and possibly they would travel, because they didn't do that before. And they went to Oregon, bought a place. She had a headache, turned out to be a brain tumor. They gave her 13 months, and she lived 13 months, and my dad, being the tough guy that he was, he toughed it out for 10 years by himself up there, and I went back and forth and helped. And,
wow. What a good son you are.
No, there's definitely better sons. There's a lot better sons.
Very humble too.
Well, there's the truth. I'm telling the truth. I'm telling you the truth on that.
No,
and I was very lucky to have the experience that I did and know some of the things that I resented from my family because of having to work and everything else, but I was lucky because the best thing that ever happened to me, I used to say it was meeting my wife, but that's only the second best, because truthfully the best thing that ever happened was learning whatever I learned to get to the point where I met my wife, to take the chance to ask her if she'd spend her life with me, and she did.
If she were here, what would she say she was attracted to when she first met you?
She had an assumption that I was a much warmer and funnier guy than I was. That's it. I really think that's it. And
did you see a lot of your mom in your wife?
No.
No?
No.
What did you see?
I was really surprised that this woman liked me.
Wow.
I was really surprised about that.
That's really neat. There'll be a story about your romance maybe one of these days that I'll watch on DVD. So after Cal Poly, did you go into agriculture, or
I came back and worked on the family ranch?
Okay, that's
should have probably gone somewhere else, but that's why I came back and worked on the family ranch.
That's always a good thing,
because your mom and dad are busting their butt, and you know, what are you going to do?
Yeah, didn't need to have a whole lot of resume to do that, I bet. No, good.
You learned how to do that when you were a kid.
Do you still have lifelong friends from the Santa Barbara or from the Rio Mesa or the Cal Poly experience?
I have friends from Rio Mesa. There are some relatives that are still left in Santa Barbara. Most of them died off. I'm 64, so time goes on.
A young-looking 64 then. You're going to have to find out your vitamin packs. Good to see you smile, Bert. That's a good thing. Jeez Louise. That's a good thing. So let me ask you this. Besides just a hard worker, let me ask you, you look like you keep yourself in shape, look like you eat right. Tell us about the secret of how you stay in shape here. That's one that I've never asked that question, but I just popped in my head.
I don't have any secret of how to shave.
Okay, let's keep it a secret then. Okay, let's keep it a secret.
I'm just lucky. I guess it's genes.
Okay, genes. Okay, maybe all the farming that you did just kept a high metabolism, things like that.
Put it this way. Okay. I learned how to work hard, and I also learned that that's not what you want to do the rest of your life. But sometimes if you don't make the right choices in life, that's what you're going to do, whether it's farming or some other thing you end up working.
Yeah.
But I also learned by hard work, you have to respect people that work. People that can sit in an air-conditioned office and wear a tie and a shirt like I'm wearing right now, they, in my opinion, don't have all the compassion or understanding of a guy that's working outside on a hot day like this to make less money than what the guy in the office is making, and there is a definite break. I learned that as a kid, and I don't know that I have a resentment, but I just have I think you could describe it as a touch with the guy that's working for a living.
Right. The
guy working for a living, digging a ditch, you can bet he would rather be in the tower with the air conditioning, but through circumstance, that's what he's doing. And there's honor in that type of work.
And the effect that they have, because quite frankly, if they didn't have those, we wouldn't have.
If there wasn't somebody digging the ditch, there wouldn't be somebody in this building.
That's right, exactly. And you know, this is probably a tough question because there's so much passion in you, but what actually brought you into politics? And again, we only have a few minutes here. That's going to be a tough one, but...
My dad was involved in politics as a when I was a kid. My dad was involved and got involved with Democratic politics. He served in Ventura County Democratic Central Committee, and all that my sister and I knew was that when it came election time, we were in charge of putting the signs up and going out and digging holes and everything else. I didn't like it. Got to meet some various people that came, got to meet Joseph Alioto, Tom Bradley, got to meet some different people, but my dad really fell for certain guys. Hubert Humphrey was one guy he really hooked up with, and he liked it. And my dad always felt that the politics that the Democratic Party stood for the working men and women. And as a farmer, it's very difficult to find another Democrat. It's also very difficult to find a farmer who's pro-union. Although farmers work in cooperatives, which are basically unions, but there's issues there.
Yeah.
I don't know if that answers your question.
No, it does. In fact, given the opportunity to be on City Council, what would you say are the top 3 things you would like to accomplish at City Council?
I get involved because of experiences that happened where I lived when we first bought homes and we found out about people being ill. And I also was extremely naive in that I thought when you brought these problems to the leadership of the city, that they would be taken care of. Common sense, I thought, was, you know, health, safety, and welfare, that's a big deal. Health, safety, and welfare, they're going to take care of it. People potentially being sick is a big deal. When it didn't happen, then what are you going to do? You're just going to walk away? You're going to shut up? Or do you start organizing with other people, and other people had common things, and then it's like, well, okay, nobody wants to get up and say anything, including me. I did not want to get up and say anything, but it got to the point where there would be one guy that would say something, and you can't let one guy go out on a limb by himself, and so you get involved, and believe me, I did not speak in public. I did not speak in public. There's still tapes of when I first spoke. My head is lit to the side. I'm talking a million miles an hour. There's sweat running down my armpit, and I could not get out of it. Could not get away from that. And eventually, it just got so bad that you had to get involved, and you had to overcome that. And well, it was not easy, but you overcame it. And you meet a lot of good people. You meet a lot of good people. You meet some less than good people also who are in positions of power that are being paid by the public, that are supposed to work for the public, that are supposed to look out for the public, and they don't do it. And I become jaded because I wasn't brought up that way. I was, you know, you help people out. And when there's an issue, you're supposed to go to bat for somebody when somebody's down. You don't kick the underdog. You don't kick the guy when he's down. And when there's people that are down, you're supposed to help them out. And it got to the point where I got pretty good at calling out people that were not doing that. So.
That's interesting. Well, Bert, thank you so much for your time. There's some great answers, some interesting answers. And I'm glad you have a solid woman behind you, both a sister and a wife. So thank you for being on Meet the Candidate.
Well, I got to tell you this before this thing goes off.
Okay.
My sister and I were not warm, fuzzy, and friendly.
Okay.
And my wife passed away. So
okay.
The other things are, I was very lucky to come from the family and
okay.
have the connections that I did, but I appreciate what you've said.
All right.
And I can tell you this, I put my pants on just like you do. Just like people in this community who have yet to come and find their voice. There are people in this community that will find their voice. But sometimes it takes major events to make it happen. Us, it was kids being sick.
Well, thank you very much, Bert.
Okay.
This is Peter Godinez, your ambassador of Meet the Candidate with Bert Perello.